Hi everybody, and welcome back to my video, whether you are watching on YouTube or Rumble, whichever one you happen to be watching this on. This has been crazy. So, in this video, I'm going to give my thoughts on a recent story which took place last week. Well, actually, I don't know when exactly happened. I have to double check that date. But I heard about it last week, during which time I wasn't able to film during circumstances beyond my control. And now it's slowly getting better. I can film again. So, yeah. I'm going to talk about I'm going to give my thoughts on the Shiloh Hendrix situation. So, apparently, she was at a park with her baby, possibly more like toddler. I mean, from that picture or video, it could have been the kid maybe about a year or so old, I would assume. Anyways, she was at the park with the toddler. With the baby, and she supposedly called a black 5-year-old, the N-word. Now, that part was not caught on video. However, now in the video that was seen, she didn't deny it. In fact, she pretty much almost admitted to it, in a way that makes it seem like that she's proud she did it. Now then, it is wrong for her to call a 5-year-old child by the N-word or any other name. Okay? It is wrong. That right there is wrong. And apparently, because of that right there, she's been getting a lot of backlash. She's been doxxed and is now facing a lot of death threats, and people have been making posts on social media posting death threats, not only to her, against her, but also against that baby. And I believe that it is because of these threats. That is what her GiveSendGo account was for, because she was raising money for, like, to relocate or something. The money was supposed to be for safety, like for safety concerns, basically. Now, it was originally for $500,000, but then it got raised to $1 million, which I find that very strange. And apparently, it only lasted maybe a day and a half, less than 2 days, because of racial reasons or something other. Something that they cited on GiveSendGo. The problem with that is Carmelo Anthony had raised over $500,000 too. And Carmelo Anthony, GiveSendGo, people have been commenting, posting hateful stuff about Austin Metcalf and that family, posting death threats against I think Hunter Metcalf. Don't know why I said Hunter Biden. Apparently Hunter is a popular name or something. I don't know. I meant Hunter Metcalf. And possibly I'm not 100% sure about this, and possibly even Jeff Metcalf, but I'm not sure about him. But definitely there's been death threats against Austin's brother. People have been posting death threats against him, Austin's brother, in the comments of Carmelo Anthony's GiveSendGo. And that's been going on for over a month. And all the while, it was tolerated under the guise of free speech. Now, I am pretty sure that making death threats against the Metcalf family and inciting violence against white people, talking about deaths to white people, I'm pretty sure at that point it is no longer free speech. It's not about free speech. Free speech would have been then people making comments about how much they hate white people and if they're just pushing, and if they're saying stuff like just calling the Metcalf family names and stuff like that, like possibly even using profanity. I mean, that right there, as long as it sticks to like name calling and stuff like that, and say as long as they stuck to, if they were sticking to with stuff with like, well, F Austin or F the Metcalf family or F the stuff like that, that's probably more free speech, even though it would be very disgusting to say, considering what that family is going through. But I think that would be more free speech, but not calling for violence against white people and against the Metcalf family, any of them. Okay, not that stuff. And they let that go on for over a month. And it is very suspicious, by the way, that even that by the time they raised almost $500,000, which was initially for a legal defense, and after facing accusations that they were misusing the funds, which they technically didn't get yet at that time, they updated their GiveSendGo page to make that money seem more open-ended. That right there is very suspicious. And technically, just because they didn't get the money yet, like at that time, that doesn't necessarily mean that they wasn't planning shopping sprees or maybe went out and put down payments on a few things, knowing that they have this other money coming in. And now that it's been a few weeks since that happened, I bet now there's evidence coming out of them. Now it would probably be easier for them to prove misuse of money. Although, with the wording of the GiveSendGo, they might be able to claim that it falls under the category of the new phrasing of the GiveSendGo, even though the original wording said that this was for Carmelo Anthony's defense. But then they updated it, which I think is very suspicious, the timing that they updated, because why would you update that if you was innocent? If you weren't planning shopping sprees with that money, if you weren't planning on misusing the fund, then you decide to change to GiveSendGo, probably to avoid legal consequences. And what's worse is Carmelo Anthony's supporters, people who donated that money in the first place, they probably wouldn't care what they do with the money anyways. Okay? So GiveSendGo, they let Carmelo Anthony's GiveSendGo up for a month, would then spend all kinds of nonsense, and then Shiloh Hendrix I think she only had hers up for maybe a couple of days, if that, before it was shut down. All because she used the N-word in a 30-second video, which was wrong. And her moving the goalpost to 1 million after raising $500,000, I think that's also strange. And it seems like that story, the Shiloh Hendrix story, is being used. Just like the Carmelo Anthony story, the Shiloh Hendrix incident is also being used to fuel a race war. Okay? That's what it seems like. Now, in my opinion, death threats, threatening violence, all that is worse than name calling. Okay? Now, Shiloh Hendrix shouldn't never have called a 5-year-old the N-word or any name at all, and any issue should have been addressed with the parents, if anything, of this 5-year-old. If anything at all. Okay? But at the same time, it is also wrong to dox her and make death threats against not only her, but also her baby, posting insane stuff about her. How is she still alive? Blah, 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 blah. Like, what? Two wrongs don't make a right. Then you have people, people making videos openly calling for violence against her baby. That the baby would at least have severe brain damage. Otherwise, according to their logic, according to them, the baby would grow up racist. Now I'm curious. I wonder how many people who are racist actually grew up in a racist family. Maybe some people who were raised racist eventually grow out of it. You have people who grow up in, say, Christian environments, who eventually walk away from Christianity. So, there is no reason to believe that this baby was going to grow up to be a racist, and that video even tried to claim, well, this baby could grow up to be like Hitler. And then, in the same breath, try to use that to justify violence against that baby and causing that baby severe brain damage. That way, because according to their logic, that way at least it lives. So yeah, people calling for violence against that baby, Shiloh Hendrix's baby, and then calling for the death of Shiloh Hendrix herself. That is insane. Okay? Two wrongs do not make a right. And apparently, she is facing criminal charges. I forgot to look up for what. Maybe I can do that real quick. Let me look it up on Grok. Yeah. Okay. And I've also seen, when I was looking at the story on TikTok, and on TikTok, on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, I also seen people say stuff like, if you don't support Shiloh Hendrix, then you're part of the problem. Well, first of all, she's wrong too. You don't call a 5-year-old's name. Okay? Now, at the same time, you stand against the violence, call all that violence as being called against her, because that's wrong too. Okay? Bitch. Let's see. So I just asked Grok what Shiloh Hendrix is being charged with. And apparently, according to Grok, she has not formally been charged with any specific crime related to that incident. Ah, here it is. Potential criminal charges. Okay, disorderly conduct and intentional infliction of emotional distress, assault with an escalation to a hate crime. Yet, apparently, that's the stuff that she's being charged with, or could potentially be charged with. Right now though, she has not officially been charged with anything just yet. But these are the charges that she could be facing. Although, I am kind of curious why that other guy was filming. That's strange too. So, what I'm getting at is, just like the Carmelo Anthony situation, this case seems to be also being made about race. And this is also being used to fuel a race war. And this right here shows the hypocrisy on GiveSendGo's part about the way they handled Carmelo Anthony versus the way they handled this. Because when you look at the reasoning why they suspended her account, if they're going to go by that, then they should have done the same thing with Carmelo Anthony's GiveSendGo. I don't know, over a month ago. And supposedly they're still asking for more money. Which I find that weird, because they already raised over $500,000. They have plenty of money already. So, yeah. The Carmelo Anthony thing is wrong. I mean, the Shiloh Hendrix is wrong. But so was all